want to see how long I can get you to hold that.
You asshole.
All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
Yeah, I'm Jaime Fuego here.
And welcome to a very drunk spoiler review of The Dark Tower.
Yeah, we had to get drunk because of the fact that this movie sucked. I was really, really disappointed with it.
Well, and here's the thing. It didn't even,
high expectations.
It didn't even suck to, like, the usual, like, suckage level where a movie's just, like, garbage. Like, it was okay. Mm-hmm. But it was so underwhelming and underexplained and undercharacterized and under-actioned and under-storied and under-fucking everything.
Under everything, and that's the problem. It's where, like, for a film like this, when you have mediocrity for The Dark Tower, that is a failure. Like, true and true, man. I mean, the fact that they showed action in the trailer, there's really not much action in the movie.
Not much,
The fact that they showed, genuine character development and, so on, and, like, kinship in the trailer, not really very much in the movie.
Not at all.
I mean,
the first trailer is
skimmed the fuck over.
The first trailer was the most. Yeah, the first trailer was the most representative of this movie. Sorry for trying to talk over you.
No, you're good, dude.
But yeah. So here's the deal, you guys. Just so you know what's going on is Dark Tower and I are going to review Jaime and Fuego. No, Fuego and I are here to review The Dark Tower in a very spoilerific, drunken fashion. We did a live while I was driving home from the theater, rapid review of The Dark Tower after immediately getting out of the theater. It was about a 35-minute long discussion.
It was, and we had some audience interaction, which was cool. And
a lot of it, actually.
Yeah, tons of it, in fact, which was dope.
Yeah.
But, it was basically lots of just people upset that we were proclaiming what everybody had suspected about this film and its inadequacy and mediocrity. And
unfortunately, it all proved to be true. So my point in bringing it up is go ahead and skip to the last 20 seconds of this video if you'd like. Go ahead and watch that first. I'll link it at the end of this video. You can watch our immediate reactions and then come back and see why we decided to have a couple of shots before doing this review. Because... guys, this was such a bummer. Okay, so let's, I guess we can approach it. We'll just gloss over what we said sort of in the regular thing. Overall, I was disappointed in the film. I thought it was so, there was so much potential and it was largely wasted. Even from the perspective of someone that has not seen the books as compared to someone that has seen the books. Read the books. You've actually read the books. I said seen the books, but you've actually read everything, and not only that, but you ran the Dark Tower panel.
Yeah, and I reread all 8 of the books this past year. So I had already read them, and then I reread them this upcoming year, 1 month at a time, and
leading up to this film.
Yeah, and you can see all of those reviews.
The best laid plans,
on the
my
Horror
friend.
Show.
The best laid plans.
I know.
So
underutilized efforts, possibly.
Yeah, I gave my overall. What was your overall? Just to recap for them.
Overall was massive disappointment. I think that I'm a big fan of alliteration, and I was trying to just be like, boredom and just bland and so on and so forth. That was like phrases that I kept coming back to.
Bland, and bored.
Yes, exactly. And it was almost like, as I said during the regular review, and I'm going to reiterate that here, they tried to appeal to two different camps and then failed on both of those sides. Mm-hmm. They basically tried to condense the storyline for people who are new to the thing, and yet...
they were a plate spinner, trying to be like, okay, here are the Dark Tower fans.
We
got them, okay? Mm-hmm. Here are the non-initiated. And they're spinning the two plates, and then they fucking drop them both.
And they failed miserably because of the fact that they condensed so much that the hardcores like myself are going to be like, what the fuck did you do? And then the newbies are going to be like, what is going on? I'm so confused. And the fact that they started the film, the first scene in the film was breakers. And who the fuck is going to know?
No one knows what the breakers are.
There's like people, like kids, having these head attachments going on, and then you see like beams, like
a beam, like a laser beam, like again, like I described in there. It was like a Rogue One, like Death Star planet destroying beam, where their beam goes out and it shoots and it arcs and hits the tower and starts to try and destroy the tower.
No exposition given as to what these kids are doing.
Or what the tower is, or anything.
Anything. Nothing is explained. That is the biggest fault of this film. The fact
now, would it
so
have been better?
Is explained.
Would it have been better with someone giving voiceover exposition? And would that have even been? Because obviously the best way to do it, although
right?
No, someone said, someone in the movie said Deshane.
Yeah.
So what is the deal? Is it Deshane or is it Deshane?
Well, I am basically going off of Stephen King's actual reading of Dark Tower 4.5, which is The Wind Through the Keyhole, and he pronounces it as Deshane in that. So I could be completely wrong. And Idris Elba even said in a couple different things. He said Deshane in a few, and then he said Deshane in another. I don't know. I'm just basically going off of what the author said in his reading of the 8th book, basically. So there you go, man.
The story is basically it was Jake's story. It starts off with him in our world. He is loved by his mom, not so much loved by the stepfather, which apparently is a difference from the book or something.
Yeah, the stepfather is not in the regular book. Regular book is where his father is a coke snorting, 3-pack-a-day, cigarette smoking, drinking crazy guy who was all about ratings and so on and so forth, and the mother is not even a character. So I don't know.
So they tried to
weird change there. Obviously,
they tried to make that more important, and he is a nightmare-ridden kid who the nightmares he believes are actually real, and the nightmares are of the Man in Black and the gunslinger played by Idris Elba.
Yeah.
And he gets drawn into the world via his own powers, so to speak.
Yeah, his shine as opposed to...
His shine, and that's the thing. You said that's a big difference.
As opposed to the touch, like they described it. And, Elaine had the touch, who was one of his, other buddies. And so, Jake has the touch, which is almost very similar to, Carrie, Firestarter, Dead Zone.
It's the most close to The Shining from
exactly.
The Shining.
Which is why they obviously changed the description of it.
Instead of the touch, it's the shine.
It's the shine.
And it's the problem is when they say that, it's impossible to overlook the tie-in to The Shining. You're like, wait, what does this have to do with The Shining then? Because this kid is shining.
They were very deliberate with their connections, weren't they?
They really were.
They really were. Whether it was Easter eggs or direct correlations, man. I mean, they were all about it.
So the kid basically finds a portal to Midworld. Gets immediately found by Roland, who
he's pointing guns at him and everything. And yet, didn't they downplay that monster so just...
the house monster.
So disappointingly, because he is a big fixture in the 3rd book, and
I'm glossing over things perhaps too quickly. So let's slow it down. Let's move it back. Do you think I'm okay?
Yeah.
So this kid, he lives in a world. He's haunted by his nightmares. He believes it's real, and he goes and he finds a portal in this weird house that he has dreamt of and drawn.
Yeah, and that's the thing. All of those aspects of him, just remembering a gunslinger and stuff, that's all 3rd book stuff. So basically, after Jake dies in the 1st book, he pops back up in the 3rd book. And that's where he has these, recollections of a gunslinger and of a way station and of interactions that he's not sure actually transpired or not. And so that's where the weird kind of paradigm presents itself. It's okay, he died, but yet he's still alive because he's in Keystone Earth, and at least they mentioned Keystone Earth in which is where
times.
Which is where basically Keystone Earth is. There are so many multiple alternate universes in the Dark Tower series, and so Keystone is where we basically live. It's like
Earth Zero.
Yeah, it's like our world.
For Marvel, it's Earth 616. For DC, it's Earth Prime.
And that's what I was going to say. From the comic world that, there are multiple intertwining alternate aspects of continuity and stuff like that. And, Keystone Earth is where we all reside, but that's not necessarily where Jake or where any of the other people come from.
So anyway, he follows his nightmares. He finds this portal in this building from his dreams, and he steps through it, and is immediately found by Idris Elba, and immediately they join forces to try and take down the Man in Black, who is also from his drawings, and he knows is evil.
But that's the thing. It's haphazard.
It is so haphazard, and it is so rapidly thrown together. You don't know either person's real motivation, really, except that he's having nightmares, and Idris Elba has had a rivalry with this Man in Black,
and yet
which is never really explored.
They don't explain it all, and they did reshoots to explain things more. Which is where they showed the Allstate guy as, Elba's father, and that's the thing. Still didn't even explain.
And here's
very
the
much.
thing: as someone just watching from the
which
outside
is different
in,
from the fucking books.
From the outside in, I gotta say, the stuff with the Allstate guy, the father, felt out of place.
Yeah,
it did feel out of place.
Yeah,
and I was like, no, this.
It felt disjointed.
It felt crowbarred. It felt like.
Just like
it's like the thing in Back to the Future 2. You must have the hot jolly special. It felt like it was being forced down your throat.
Jumping on, you must have that.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
So it felt forced. Is the point I'm making, and it was a bummer. So what happened from there?
Well, unfortunately, from there we basically had a very just bland bit of altercation and one person is trying to destroy, one person is trying to
the Man in Black is tracking the kid via his shine powers,
which never happens in the books.
Really?
Obviously,
okay.
Once again,
Frustrating.
There is nothing with Walter.
Lots of shortcuts taken in the movie.
Tons of shortcuts, man. So much just kind of synthesizing and streamlining is lots of S words as I used during during the other review, and so streamlining things and just
sacrificing parts of the plot,
big time, man, big time.
Because that's what it felt like. Like it felt super disjointed. It felt like an abridged movie. It felt like this movie. Honest to God, you guys, it's so weird. It felt like this movie deserved to be 2.5 hours.
It did, and the fact that it was 90 minutes was
97.
97. Okay, such a disservice to the property.
But that's still like a half hour shorter than it should have been.
Yeah.
That half hour would have explained the motivations of the characters, would have delved deeper into the story, would have made me care about the final altercation, which felt out of place as is anyway.
Oh yeah, and the fact that there was like these guys who felt like I don't know, military peeps with their machine guns and stuff like that. There's nothing of that sort in the series. Nothing whatsoever. And the fact that Roland is like shooting people up and these guys have machine guns and all this other crap, I'm like, are they like Crimson King people? Are they, obviously, presumably they are, but that just...
But it's never made completely clear.
Never made completely clear, and also the fact that none of that was in the books proper. It just felt so out of place. It really felt like people just trying to heavy hand action into a story when there was not, and shit, as you and I have both mentioned, there was maybe 2 or 3 shoot 'em up aspects, despite the fact that the trailers showed like guns galore and all this other craziness, and then
the action scenes were few and far between, and largely the stuff in the action scenes you saw in the trailers.
Yeah.
Like, all the cool shots of him reloading and stuff were literally in the trailers.
Oh, yeah, and where he shoots the Tahine guy and so on. And, and that's another thing. All of the mythology that was explained in this, like, people like me who have read the books are going to be like, oh, okay, cool. But peeps like you, obviously...
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Just
like,
random people attacking.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, okay,
random things attacking.
What is a Tahine? And then the fact that Jackie Earle Haley and the dude from Cabin in the Woods and all these other peeps who are part of the Crimson King forces that are working in line with the Man in Black, none of their motivations are really properly explained.
Delved into.
And on top of that, they really don't get much screen time
at
all. They're barely in there.
What's the point?
Yeah,
What's
this
the
film
fucking point?
was a mess of editing, and that's where you know that there was a lot of cooks in the kitchen as far as like the editing bay, and where there was like chopping things up, trying to get a good narrative, and then the fact that there was this reshoots and all this other shite. Good lord, this movie is a hot mess is the best way I can
so
describe
just to go through and finish spoiling it, I mean, the kid goes through, meets up with Elba, teams up with him, they try and track down this weird machine that the Man in Black has built with all of the breakers, which we don't know are actually breakers in the movie.
Yeah, because they never properly describe it.
No,
and those are concepts we didn't even get until, Black House and 5, 6, and 7 as far as the books goes. So,
but then we get the Man in Black traveling to our world and killing the kids. We see. Here's what frustrated me. We see him kill the stepfather that's a complete asshole, and he just says, "Stop breathing." And then the mom gets killed off camera.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, and then she's just like charred remains.
There's no investment when you do that.
None whatsoever.
Oh my
she
God,
was like pretty
it's
and
so
had a
frustrating.
lot of screen time too, which was what was terrible about
They
it.
did the same thing in Supernatural this past season. Literally the same thing.
Yeah, they did.
So fucking frustrating. So that didn't make any sense to me. That was a bummer. The choices that they made regarding the presentation of the story just fell super flat a lot of times here.
Extremely, man. And then the fact that the film, as you and I both mentioned, ended so abruptly,
with a manufactured confrontation between Roland and the Man in Black,
which was not in the books, mind you.
And we've seen a cool part where Roland tries to shoot the Man in Black as he's walking away. And it's this cool camera angle that you see in the trailer where he grabs the bullet behind his head, but it cuts off.
And that was early in the film.
Yeah, the camera follows around towards the front, and he just literally grabs the bullet out of the air and just looks at it while he's talking and tosses it behind him. And that was cool, but nothing ever rose beyond that.
Well, there's technically no confrontation between them in the books, and the best thing that they have between the two of them is where they sit down and they have palaver. And that's in the
conversation.
Conversation, exactly, in the first book. And they talk about just the nature of the universe and, so on and so forth. So there's almost despite the hatred,
they skipped over entirely that character building.
Dude, there was a strange respect between the two of them. And yet, in the movie, it was presented so surface level. It was presented I don't like you, good, evil, blah, 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 whatever. And so that was boring and just, not interesting in my opinion. And at the end of the day, the film could have been so phenomenally cool because of the fact that, one thing you and I did both mention is that the performances weren't bad necessarily.
No, they just had nothing to do.
It was the fact that the script was so shitty and gave them so little to do. And it was such a bland,
The motivations were flimsy.
Flimsy, unexplained, boring, like so many bees, man. B.
It was another B. It was a bummer.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah. And that's the thing. And so it all led up. Yeah, it all led up to this confrontation between Roland and the Man in Black, and it just comes down to a shootout where, of course, the Man in Black, he's throwing debris at Roland, and Roland's dodging it easily, and then Roland shoots. And the one cool thing I'll give it credit for, although I won't give it credit for the second half of it, I will give it credit for the coolness because the Man in Black, Matthew McConaughey, is dodging all of Idris Elba's shots. But the last shot, he shoots him, and Matthew McConaughey is going to block it he has all the others.
It was a double shot.
Idris Elba shoots again real quickly, bounces the bullet off of a wall, hits the other bullet that's already in the air, and knocks that off of Matthew McConaughey's thing and shoots him basically in the heart. And takes him out! Takes him out!
Yeah.
That easily.
But then he proceeded to shoot him more and more and shot him in the head and the chest.
Yeah, but still, that was all it took. And then, all of his defenses were down, and he was like, And it's why is that so easy? It shouldn't be that easy for this guy you've built up.
No,
and obviously he's going to come back, but they didn't even allude to that. The last thing we saw was him with a bullet hole in his forehead.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Spoilers.
This whole thing's a spoiler review.
Okay, well, just to spoil the end.
I spoiled a big bit there.
Yeah. Good Lord, though. The fact that Jake has nothing to really live for and go home to, and so on and so forth. And so Roland is like, "You should come with me back to
That
Midwell."
happens so fast.
Yeah, very, very quickly.
Literally,
and
they're back.
He has
in
his best
Earth.
friend. He has like all these other people, and he's just like, "Yeah, I'll just go to Midwell."
He's like, "Yeah, I've got nothing here."
Yeah.
So Fuego's glancing over it, but at the end of it, they've killed the Man in Black. They're back in our world, and Idris Elba, the gunslinger, is returning Jake to his world. But since Jake's mother and stepfather are dead, and in spite of the fact that they developed this whole best friend for him, the entire movie that kept showing up, they don't even acknowledge that at this point. And Idris Elba's like, "Okay, well, I gotta go," and he's like, "Well, take me with you." He's like, "But your life." He's like, "I have nothing here," and he's like, "Okay, fine, come with me," and they both go back.
Yeah.
But what? Why?
And yet the thing that is so fucking irritating is the fact that basically when Jake was brought back with like a single bullet shot from Roland, they apparently destroyed Thunderclap, which is where all of the like breakers are based and stuff.
Yeah, remember, just by one shot?
They
like,
showed
what?
it all blow up, and I was like, how is that all blown up just from one bullet shot? Like, what in the hell is going on? And basically that is the base where all the breakers are, and there's such immense story. There's like Brodigan from Hearts in Atlantis, and you've got Dinky from Everything's Eventual, and so many other people. Shimi is actually in the Breakers camp because Shimi shows back up.
Shimi gets blown up in that?
No, he doesn't. That's where they change shit. Shimi shows back up in this like basic concentration camp that they have in the books, which is where all the Breakers are. Ted Brodigan from Everything's from Hearts and Atlantis is there. Shimi is there because they've taken him. There's a few others, and so this is all stuff that they've just wiped away, dude. And it's so frustrating how they've bastardized Stephen King's best, like his magnum opus, and the fact that he actually proclaimed
was on board. Yeah,
the fact that he proclaimed that you didn't forget the face of your father, Mr. Nick Arso, when you made this film, dude. King, I love you so much, man, but you really just were blowing smoke, bro.
Well, this probably, this is the most big budget of anything he's ever done, so it probably looked the best of anything he's ever done.
Maybe, but
Jesus, what a shit story.
Yeah.
What a shit story, and I was into it. You've been talking about it for so long,
with good reason.
I have zero interest to read the books now.
Yeah,
like that's a bummer side effect that this.
I would
is
actually
have.
hope that would create the opposite, because you would want to read the books because that's how they tell the story.
But no,
proper,
but if it's this uninteresting, why?
This was a congested bastardization of the story.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's going to be a big problem. Yeah. Big problem.
Yeah, and the fact that they're saying, "Oh, it's a sequel," and that was one of the only things that got me okay with seeing this. Is they're like, okay,
97 minutes was the biggest mistake they made with this movie.
Amen. He's made multiple trips around, the Wheel of Ka, and so that was why, myself included, I was trying to be okay with it. I was like, okay, it's a different trip around the circle, and so for that sheer point, I'm going to try to be okay with some changes and differences and so on and so forth.
Movies a lot of times have fat that can be trimmed. A lot of times. This had room for fat to be added. This could have benefited from another 25 to 30 minutes worth of story building and character building.
Explanation, for God's sake, man.
Something. My God, give us more than what we got, because there was zero investment.
Mm-hmm.
Zero investment. I wanted to be invested, but I did not care.
And I hate to give nerd rage, but that's the way I feel about this, man. Nerd rage is like fuming within me for the entirety of this review.
It's a big bummer, you guys.
Fudgicles, Bart. I'm sorry.
So I don't know. Let's hit the final thoughts, Fuego.
Yeah.
That's it. We hit on what happened. He says they defeat him with gunshots. What?
Yeah.
And then
they
take him back,
and there's a little flash, and then the movie's over.
And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I was like, you're kidding me, right?
I even when it cut to credits, I was like, oh no.
Yeah, dude. I looked over at you and I was like, I started laughing.
I was like, oh no.
That's the end of the movie.
Was awful.
I can tell the idiots in the editing bay were probably like 50, 60-year-old men who have not read a single page of The Dark Tower. Sorry, cats, on Sony and, the other company that had the no-kill, clause or whatever, because there was basically two different companies working together on this. And one was Sony, and then the other one, and it's like MBC or something like that, but nonetheless, they had a no-kill clause where they could basically disapprove any cut of the film, any trailer of the film. And
they should have continued to do so.
Man, too many cooks in the kitchen, as we have mentioned constantly.
Cooks.
Too many cooks. Yeah.
Obviously. This was bad, you guys. This was a rough one, and the spoilers that we just said, that's it. There's nothing fucking more to this movie.
Yeah. You had brief mentions of the Tajin. You had like a couple scenes with people you saw in the 6th and 7th books.
Mention what you mentioned in the car review, the crossovers with the other stuff, the Easter eggs right off the top of your head. There was obviously the Pennywise sign.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was the 1408 thing where they're like, remember the gate that you're going through, and it was 1408, and then there was obviously the Pennywise stuff. There was the little Christine car when he was hanging out with his buddy, but... Right. And I mean, they were being deliberate about the fact that, but it's almost funny because it's like they overthought that stuff, and yet all of the
didn't put enough thought into
all of the more crucial stuff that really would have like made fans like myself, like diehards, happy. You just neglected. So,
completely.
Yeah. Terrible job, guys.
But that's the problem.
I'm really, really
when
upset.
It feels like
I'm upset with this movie.
When it feels like stuff was neglected, even to people that haven't read the books, i.e. me, that's a big problem with a movie. Big problem. So, anyway, I think that's enough railing on this one.
I just want to shut up about it and, like, look forward to it in September.
For sure. That's all we've got. But
I mean, shit, I would watch The Mist over this, and that's saying a lot.
Yeah, man. I would watch The Mist. I would watch The Mist over rewatching this for sure, because this was a bummer. And
I mean The Mist TV series, which is dog.
Yeah, exactly. I know, I was referring to that too. But yeah, this was bad, you guys. But I'm still interested to see if anyone's gonna hang out hope or watch it, or if they did sit through it. What did you think? I don't know how it's gonna turn out, but I'm very curious to hear what you think. Fuego, any final thoughts from you?
Final thoughts from me are that I hope this film makes enough money for us to see a TV series. Because I love that period of Roland's life, and I feel like with different hands in the creation process, this could be actually very exciting. And who knows, maybe a sequel with Eddie and Susanna could be cool with somebody else handling the duties. So
yeah.
I don't want this to be the end. I don't want this to be the clearing at the end of the path, but I really feel that with the way it's been...
80% sure it will be?
I'd say, well, I can't say 19% because that would be too little, but,
Too little.
Oh, well.
Like 119%.
Yeah, 119%. I think this is the end of the Dark Tower series until it gets rebooted in like 20 years after Stephen King has passed on.
One would hope.
Clearing in the end of the path, yeah.
So that's going to do it, you guys. Let us know in the comments down below if you're going to still try and see this for some reason or not. But until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
See this movie and let us know what you think about it. I've been Jaime and Fuego.
Yeah, go ahead. Why not? See it. Let us know what you think. Let's get a conversation going. But remember, stay scared!